This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Welcome to the Fee-for-Service Dentist Podcast. Today's guest, Dr. Rebecca Bradley, startup fee-for-service practice 4 months ago, December 2023. We recorded this April 2024. Talks about what she needs to break even, how she got there, where she started. She was an associate in a heavily PPO insurance-driven practice. She was there for 6 years. Nothing really negative to say. The experiences helped her determine what she wanted to do and what she wanted to be when she grew up, so to speak. And it really is a fun journey. And I think you'll love her. I think she's got a certain kind of aura, like a bubbly kind of effervescence. I really, really enjoyed speaking with her. And I had the ability, I guess, to talk to her a long time ago. I didn't know that. She told me that. And it's just some of the most awesome people you meet in life's journey. She's one of them. So please enjoy the show. Brought to you, our podcast sponsored by Kettenbach Dental. They are excited to announce the first major advancement in fluoride varnish treatments. No longer with any alcohol or resin. Instead, patients will get their treatment delivered with a mucoadhesive dimethicone gel. It will be smooth and silky and feel very lubricious. No more grit. Contact Kettenbach today for more details, 877-532-2123. They have a rep. They do it the old-fashioned way, people to people. Reach out, tell them Sonny sent you, and you'll get your prices hiked up 20%. No, just kidding. They're great people. I've worked with them for a long time now. So reach out. Dan Perilli's my man. He's the head guy. And they will have a rep in your area who will come and show you and talk to you one-on-one, show you anything you need. If you like the podcast, please click like, share, subscribe, share it with your friends. Tell everybody. It's on YouTube also, a YouTube channel, a Fee-for-Service Dentist. If you don't like it, well, please reach out to me and let me know what you'd like to hear. Or you may have suggestions, or you might want to be a guest. 607-624-2962. That's my cell phone. You can reach me directly. Sometimes we make a connection, like in this broadcast you're going to hear from. That really is very helpful. Happy to do it. Thanks a lot, everybody. Enjoy the show.
My name is Drew Burns, and I'm a part of a small group of dentists who believe something crazy. We believe that the standard of care is just not good enough. We demand the best of ourselves and the best for our patients. We believe that the best way? No, the only way to practice dentistry is on our own terms. If you ask the dental consultants or the corporate CEOs, they tell you that what we're doing isn't smart, that fee-for-service dentistry is dead, and that the golden age of dentistry is over. Yet, while others focus on profits first, we focus on the patient first. And yet, our offices are some of the most profitable in the entire country because we invest in ourselves and we are doing things right. It's our name on the door and it's our reputation on the line. My name is Drew Burns, and I am a fee-for-service dentist. This is the Fee-for-Service Dentist Podcast, and these are our stories.
Welcome to the Fee-for-Service Dentist Podcast, Dr. Sonny Spira. Today we have a guest, Dr. Rebecca Bradley. Kind of exciting. We came to get to know Rebecca. Apparently, I didn't even realize this, but even before Dr. Nicole Vane said, hey, I just heard her on a podcast. She'd be a great guest. She did a startup, et cetera, et cetera. I was like, okay, Nicole, relax for 1 second. Let me get the details and let's do that. So we did. We connected, and she told me, oh, I reached out to you when I was doing a startup, meaning she reached out to me, and I was like, really? Okay. So that's nice to know. I do enjoy talking to people that are in our profession and doing their thing and supporting them, you know? So let me give you a quick background, and then we're going to get right to it. Dr. Rebecca Bradley grew up in a small town in Tennessee. All right, we got to listen for the accent. She left to attend Wofford College in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Got a nice basketball team, where she met her Charlotte native husband. She graduated from UNC School of Dentistry in 2017 and has been living and working as a dentist in Charlotte ever since. If anybody knows, Charlotte is a booming, growing area in North Carolina. It was a very long journey, but Dr. Bradley has now opened up a startup fee-for-service office in South Charlotte. in December 2023 while juggling two beautiful little girls, ages 1 and 3. So, welcome, Rebecca. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Good for you. So, the natural question is, why'd you want to leave and do the startup, right? With this first question that comes to mind.
Oh man. Yeah, that's a great question. That was something I think I didn't want to do a startup. I decided I wanted to own when I had my first kid.
Okay, so
Um,
having the first child, you said, I want the whole pie. I want to own this thing.
yeah, I
Okay,
think
great.
the thought of yeah, so I was an associate for 6 years at the same job, and I loved my job. It was a really nice people, but it was very busy. It was not corporate, it was private PPO, but just all the PPOs. And I was just a drill and fill machine. Um, and that's fine. That's what they hired me for. But I knew that I wanted to kind of expand my skill set. And I knew I needed to look for the next step. And so once I had the first kid, I was like, all right, you know, we gotta think about the future here. We gotta see what's gonna happen. And that's when I decided, well, it's funny, even going back, I was kind of looking for, I even looked outside of dentistry for a while.
Really?
It wasn't necessarily to own. Yeah. I've always kind of had this creative itch, I guess you could say. And oh my gosh, Sunny, I tried to write a book at one point, a fiction novel. It was really hard. I
Wow.
will say I have a new respect for authors. I thought, okay, I'll just write and then I'll be an author and won't be a dentist anymore. What else? I thought I was gonna go back for um, to go back to school for radiation, be a dental radiologist, and then I thought maybe I'll just be a mom and just work a couple days, to help out. I kind of went through the gamut of it, and that was kind of really when I had to pick where I was going with that. And then finally, just talking to people that I know who were doing their own thing, I thought, let's do it. And I think listening to podcasts, it's funny. We'll come back to it, but Sunny, you've personally had a bigger influence than you realize on me. Definitely, because your podcast was one of my favorites. And so my originally though, I thought a
Very
startup's too
kind.
hard. I'm gonna do an acquisition.
Okay.
So had the first kid 2021, and I said, all right, I'm gonna do an acquisition. I did all the air quotes right things, getting the dental reps involved and the brokers and everyone just looking out for something. And, um, no one was really selling during COVID. Everyone wanted their numbers to get better, I'm assuming, before selling, which is fair enough. There wasn't really much on the market. And the couple offices that I did see, I was looking into some that I could come in as an associate and buy in slowly. And I like the idea of that because I've always worked with, my office that I started when it's 14 dentists. So big group of people. I like collaborating ideas,
Mhm.
working with other dentists. So I really like the idea of that. But nothing felt right. It always just felt a little off. And it's hard to pinpoint what exactly that is because, so I said in the last one, no one was doing anything wrong. Everyone was doing a really great job at what they're doing, but just didn't quite feel right to me. Um, and so that's when, the last one that I looked at, it was beautiful, state of the art, new office, two other dentists, much expanded skills, implants, comprehensive dentistry, all the stuff that I would on paper be looking for. And I didn't feel that I just didn't feel right about it. And I think part of it too is I think I would have felt like a junior partner, if you will, just because I was a lot younger than the guys that were there.
Mhm.
Um, and so I said after that, I told my supply rep, I was like, you know what? You're going to love me because you've been helping me try to find a place. And I decided I'm going to open my own. So I'm going to just, buy all the stuff from you guys. But that's when I realized I'm not going to find it, I got to build it.
So let
And
me ask
that
you
was,
let me ask you a
yeah,
quick question about that, please. Um,
sure.
So you're looking and you look at this practice with two other doctors that are going to purchase it, or two other
The two
doctors are selling a
doctors that are
third.
there.
What's
Yes.
the situation?
So I would come in as an associate, and it was even planned out. Like you would work for this many years, and then you would buy in a percentage, and you could become the third partner over time.
Okay. All right, I get it. So yeah, you are going to be the third wheel. You're going to be, there's a president, a vice president, you're going to be the secretary or treasurer. Pick your pick, right?
Right.
I
And
had
after my
that.
background, it was such a learning curve that I would be learning their way of doing it. And it would be kind of, which is not a bad thing at all. But just at that point in my career, I kind of wanted to make it my own.
So I want to ask you a couple questions about your associateship. So you
Sure.
said it was a heavy PPO, was a high volume, busy roller skate practice is the way I interpret it, right?
Right.
Now, what were the pluses of working in that environment?
So many pluses. Right out of school, it was perfect because, it's sink or swim. You learn to do dentistry and you learn fast and you learn to deal with people who have been waiting and, people managing multiple rooms. I always think that back to, my when I was in high school as a waitress was so helpful for me in that job. Just having like two people sat at the same time
So
and deciding,
multitasking, yeah.
yeah, deciding, all right, we're gonna do this and then this and managing that and getting better at that was invaluable.
Okay. What were some of the negatives? What were some of the real bad things about it, or negatives?
I think it was two things that it was physically demanding.
Mm-hmm.
Leave pretty exhausted every day, which was not necessarily what you want long term. But I think the most important thing was I did feel a bit stuck career wise, which is why I was looking outside of dentistry for other things to invest myself in. I guess I was. And it's not that they didn't want me to grow or anything like that. It just wouldn't have worked in the schedule. The schedule was too busy. I was to, it would halt. For example, I started doing root canals and I had to like beg for it, right? And then I get it. And if I took, a little bit longer on it, then everyone else is waiting an hour. Everyone else is picking up the slack. You know what I mean? It just didn't work in that environment to really get to expand your skills. And a
Right. So,
comprehensive dentistry,
mhm.
just there would be no time for that. It's you have to get them in and out a bit.
So if you think about it, the real positive, which is being busy, hustling, bumping it, right? With that comes the two major negatives, which what you said, which was it didn't allow for growth because you were a victim of your busyness, right?
Mhm.
And it was the physically demanding part. And when you were coming out of school, I don't know what your debt service was like, but that's a very common denominator. And a lot of
Yeah,
young
definitely.
dentists, when they start, they want to be busy. Like, I want to learn, I want to be busy. Da, 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 da. But you give up something.
Right.
And I just spoke to the dental class up in Buffalo, and that was one question that came up in a certain way, like a mentor. Like, okay, you want a mentor? That means you got to sit down and talk about things on business time or
Hmm.
off time, but it's going to impact your ability, or excuse me, it's good, not your ability. Yeah, it's going to impact your ability to earn an income because it's going to take time away from what you're doing. So you're busy, you're producing, you're probably making a pretty decent living, I would think, right?
It's salary. So I was in a salary position. So
For 6 years?
um, yes.
Okay, so that had to be a
It's one of
negative,
the
but a positive when you
yeah,
started, right?
exactly. And yes, that's what it's meant for, and it's kind of meant to. I think originally it was meant for people coming out of school,
Right.
but I do think there was a really good group of doctors that just stayed for a long time. So we had a really good community. I got really comfortable there, honestly, and
Well, you kind of
yeah,
probably fit right into a certain niche after a certain point. You were probably
yeah.
the guru of these two or three things, and these other couple
Yes, was
things
one
were
of the
here.
extraction doctors, and
Yeah.
fillings and extractions is like all I did. And but I like I said, I really love the people. The owners were good people. I was never pushed to do more dentistry. I was, it's nothing like that. If anything, it was very conservative, like watching a lot of cracks,
Oh,
maybe in that way. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, you got to watch it because insurance doesn't pay for them unless the tooth is physically broken.
exactly, because it's insurance. Exactly. And so, it's honestly, Sunny, it's been hard for me to shake that mindset. And I still have it a bit. And not that you know, I see, for example, I've been taking, since I have left my position, while I was waiting for my office to open, I took Dawson, the full gamut. I'm doing my last Dawson course coming up. So we're looking at comprehensive dentistry, and I believe in it. I believe there's a place for it. But I still have that. I still think there's a place for, just your basic general dentistry, maintaining what you got. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's interesting. I'm kind of growing as I go. But I feel that I kind of feel out the patient. And I did Dawson to be able to solve big problems because I had so many patients come to me with, you know, TMD or wanting a smile makeover. And it was just above, I didn't know how to handle it. So this gave me a strategy, but it's not something that I do for every patient. I still have the, do the cleaning with the first exam, and I think there's a place for that too. So it's interesting. I'm kind of taking, I still have that a little bit. And if as a fee for service dentist, which I consider myself more out of network than fee
Yeah,
for
same
service.
here. Yeah. We talked about that.
Right.
Yeah.
We only collect what they're expected to pay. And so I still fight that a lot. And in fact, you'd be a good one to talk to because you talk to so many different out of network dentists, but I'm still looking for, I don't mind. I want to make it affordable. I want to make it for everyone. I don't want to be put in a box, I guess, of like a boutique practice. I want to be everyone's general dentist. But I'm having trouble with that. And, I've got a lot of ideas from your podcast. We have a great membership plan, a really good membership plan. And that's been a really good solution for a lot of people, but it's only at our office, right? So when I refer, it's kind of a bigger deal for some people. And then, we've been looking at payment plans. It's that one's kind of scary for me. We definitely do the third party financing, but I don't know. You probably have some ideas. It's been on my mind recently. I've been trying to get creative and just think outside the box on ways to do this. Almost make a fee for service office more accessible.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're on the right track. You're thinking
Yeah. So you
outside
might
the
have some
box.
ideas for me. What you got?
Well, I mean, it's interesting because I hear what I hear is the internal strife that you're dealing with a little bit with the education process, because part of that is almost cult-like.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
almost like this way or the highway. There is no other way, and this is the right way, and everything else is the wrong way. I
Mm-hmm.
don't subscribe to that. I'm sorry,
Right.
I'll be the first to admit it. I don't believe in that at all. I think
I
there's
agree.
multiple correct pathways, and a person is free to choose what they want, and I don't judge them for their choices. And that was something I
Absolutely.
learned early. I mean, I was an associate dentist, and there was a patient in the chair, had a partial. It was tooth 7 or 10. It was an upper lateral, and he needed a root canal. I said, well, we can, do the root canal, or we could take it out, add it to your partial. And I spent a lot of time talking to him about the root canal, and I really presented it like this is the better way to go. Right.
Mm.
He ended up seeing my boss, because I was an associate, took the tooth out, added to his partial. And I was like, oh, geez, I wonder why. And he says, I think you may have put some of your own feelings in there, or at least he interpreted it that way. So I was like,
Absolutely.
interesting. So
Interesting.
interesting lesson. So I try to meet
Yeah.
people where they are, and
Mhm.
that's where what I try to do, and communicate with them on their level, and try to raise that level a little bit, always a little more education, and maybe they're gonna want or desire maybe something a little more long term. But I
Yeah,
think you
sure.
have to understand the consequences, right?
Yeah,
That's the big
absolutely.
thing. You take a cracked tooth, and I see these things by the bushel now. It's
I
incredible.
know. It's
And I'll take
insane.
pictures and show them, and we'll have that conversation. That's what I do with the Dunstons. I showed them a picture, and I was like, what would you do with this? And then what do you see? I see one crack. Really? Okay, that's the buccal crack. Do you see the lingual groove crack? Because it was a lower left, it was 18, lower left, second molar. Do you see the crack across the distal marginal ridge? Do you see this across the mesial marginal ridge? This tooth is split 4 ways from Sunday. And then the distal lingual cusp between those two major cusps at 90 degrees, there's another one on a diagonal going right through the cusp. I was like, this tooth warrants discussion, right? So just as we're talking about it, you're dental students and we're pointing out and talking about, now you're seeing things. What happens with your patients when you give them the opportunity to learn those things and let them choose for themselves. And
absolutely.
so that's what I hear, kind of but I wouldn't for 1 second feel bad about it, Okay, maybe I don't join your club, but that's okay. I still appreciate the knowledge and I'll be happy to provide that service, but knowledge is power. Now you know about it, so you have the ability to deliver it. That's awesome.
Right. I guess where I'm kind of struggling with is coming up with, do you do payment plans or anything? We're having a lot of patients who come find us who are just really struggling. I guess maybe because of my background and people that have followed me. It's, like I said, I want to make it affordable and not in the traditional way, right? So I want to just not be, I feel like when I did my startup, coming back to the story, it was, I used Ideal Practices, which is a consultant company that helped me do the startup. And they were, gold. I wouldn't have done it without them. They helped me to know, okay, now it's time for this. Now it's time for that. But when it came to the end and we were talking about, philosophy and everything, they just didn't seem to quite get it. I feel like at first they were kind of pushing me to be a network. And I told you when we were on the phone, which I'll come back to when I called you, which is so funny. But they, at first I was in network with so many because I didn't know anything. And I came from that heavy PPO. I tried to credential with 10. And then as I started learning, I've got such a big office because I'm planning for the future. It's an expensive rent. And I realized I'm going to have to get butts in the chair. Like now, like I'm going to have to, it stressed me out so much. The thought of the minimum that I would make on each patient, I had to have so many patients, which is kind of where I came from. And I was like, that's not why I did this, right? It's not why I did this, to have a mini version of where it came from. Right. So I panicked, tried to delete all of them, and I got stuck with 4 to start. And the consulting company I was with, they really were kind of pushing me, like, you need to be an in-network dentist or you need to be a boutique office that doesn't deal with insurance. And I'm just like, it's not, and that's fine. That works for a lot of people. But I just kept feeling these frustrations, and I just want to do things kind of a different way and get creative. And that's where you come in, Sonny. Is your podcast is stock full of creative dentists who are coming up with solutions in their own way, and that speaks to me deeply. And I listened to it and kept getting more and more inspired by it. And I thought, I need to be out of network. That's just, it's not, the vision is not going to work without, but I was so scared because that was all I knew. And my consultant company is kind of telling me I have to, like, you're a startup, you can get rid of them later. But the ones that I was in and got out of the contracts with, just because it took so long to open with construction, I had to tell my personal friends that I told them I would accept their insurance, that I wasn't anymore. And it sucked. And I thought, I don't want to go in with the intention of dropping them all and have this conversation with everyone, right? I'd rather just, in my head, pick it up later if I need to, which I already know month 4, I'm never going to do that.
Did you share with them the benefits, though, of you being out of network?
Yes, in a way, but probably not the best way. I've been getting better and better at it the more, practice you have with it. And I'm sure you've got a lot of good tidbits for me.
Well, listening to you sound like you're there was a guiltiness that came out, right? Maybe it's my Catholic upbringing, I don't know, but there definitely was a feeling of like a little guilt there that I heard, and you're apologizing. Definitely. And if you come at it from a different kind of angle, I think you can benefit from that and say, here's some great news. Okay. You may or may not be excited about it. I know I am. I'm not going to be in network with any plans. The in-network fees and the in-network structure is very limiting for patients to really get high quality care.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
So we're going to work with your insurance. Like your insurance is going to pay a portion, but you're going to have your portion, but you are free to choose whatever you want to do with your dentistry. You're not going to have like exclusions. You're not going to have limitations and ceilings and issues on things. And we can have a discussion, you and me, over what you need. It's not going to be you, me, and the insurance company sitting at the table discussing your care.
Right.
Right? Who's better to make decisions about your care? You or the insurance company is in it for profit, right? And that profit isn't to give you benefits, but is to give their shareholders. Okay. So,
For sure.
and that's what I'm concerned with a little bit on the corporate side of dentistry too. That concerns me a little bit in our profession. That's where we're going a little bit, and that's why our trust factor is dropping, and that's why we're just, and it's business. And I think it's care. You're giving care. Just take care of the patient first. So
if service, not a commodity.
Yeah, if you frame everything in terms of the benefits to you, can't lose. The patient can't lose.
Right.
So what does that mean?
In High Point, there's Heartland, a corporate dentistry opening a dental school. I don't know if you knew that. And it's so I was talking to some dental students at a free clinic I'm at. They were volunteering, and they are, asking me these questions, and I keep telling them, I'm like, don't let anyone, because that was my biggest lesson through this whole thing. Don't let anyone put you in a box. Like, don't let people tell you what you have to do in dentistry, because it's really, I kind of felt like this is what I have to do, or this is what I have to do. And I reached out to you, and you were so nice to call me. I can't believe you did that. It was so nice. You called me, taught me through it, told me, I know a lot of dentists who did this. It's totally doable. And then you kept talking to me about things too. And I realized, I was like, you know what? I've got, it's so funny. I realized at that point, because you're my fee for service guru. I had, the ideal practices. I was taking Dawson. I was taking a big CE course that is for Invisalign, molars coaching, which I love, all of those things, but they were kind of conflicting as far as, some strategies clinically. So I had all these kind of voices in my ear, and I was like, you know what? Like, if I could have just stayed an associate, if I was going to have people tell me what to do, you know what I mean? And it kind of like clicked. I was like, I'm going to do it the way I want to do it, or I'm going to go down swinging. And once I had that, and it was literally after my conversation with you. So that's why I say you don't even know how much of an impact, like after I talked to you and it hit me, I was like, I just need to flush it all out. What do I want to do? This is why I did this. And it was like a huge weight. I was losing sleep over this, and it just a huge weight off my shoulders, and it just felt right. And that was the biggest thing. And, I hope that if, dental students or other people who are considering it are listening, just that thing, just you have your vision, believe in your vision. Even if other people do it differently, it's not bad, but it's your vision, and just sticking to that has been my biggest lesson, and the only way that I've gotten to where I am. And I'm so happy with how it's going, because I had that turning point. I just see myself, if I didn't have that turning point, if the building would have been done faster and I would have gotten in earlier, it would be a completely different office. It would not be as great as it is now. I needed that time. It's funny. It's a God thing, just like having that time to work through that. Personally, what do I actually want it to look like, and just holding tight to that vision has made it what it is, made it special.
You lacked a little clarity, right? You lacked a little focus on what you wanted.
Exactly.
And part of it too is like one thing you said, I want to be everybody's dentist, and I get it. I think to me there's that 80-20 rule. I think you want that 80%, and you're not going to have the 20%. But don't try to get the 20%. Make the 80% really, really happy. Take great care of them. And I think another part of what you said that I came through loud and clear to me was that you had real clarity and focus and self-esteem and confidence that I'm doing what I'm doing. This is Dr. Bradley's office, not Spira's office. Yeah. This is not, the office I was at. This is Dr. Bradley's office, and this is going to reflect me and what I believe in in my core. Everything strips away.
Yes, exactly.
This is what we have.
Yes. And absolutely. And being creative and coming up with things. It's funny, I told you I was looking outside of dentistry for that. Um, I feel like I've really found it in doing this because, even coming up with the policies for a great team, team first mentality. Um, Coming up with, I do all of our social media, just really creative marketing, ground marketing we've been doing, which you have to do at a network as a startup. And I've
Sure
really
do.
enjoyed doing that. I feel like I've really scratched that itch of something creative outside of dentistry that can kind of fulfill me in that way.
I agree. I mean, I was speaking with a young dentist yesterday who called me about something he wanted to do, and he kind of ran some things by me, and I was like, well, what do you want to do? Like, where do you want to go with this? Like, we can look at it from strictly a business transaction if you like, but where do you want to be? Like, what do you want to do with this? You want to, he was talking about adding another practice about equal to his. His was like 800,000. He was adding another 800,000. I was like, how are you going to handle all that? And do you have the facility to handle that? Are you going to bring it together? Like, I get it. You
Mm-hmm.
want to grow. Now you want to grow, incrementally. I get all that, but now you got to figure out really where do you sit with it, So
Absolutely.
I think that's such a big thing, that
Hard, but it's a
self-discovery.
big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like, the way I wanted to do it, acquiring a business, I would have jumped right in
Right.
and it would have kind of I would have been a step behind on everything. It's so funny how things work out. Had one kid. I wanted to get pregnant with a second kid. And it's like, when do I do these things? Trying to control every little bit. And, things just work out. And I'm so glad because I had, a year where I was working part-time at my associateship, thinking about the office, taking all these CE courses and getting to hang out with my baby. So
Yeah.
for a year, she was a year when it opened. So yeah, it was long, but I'm so thankful that it worked out because you're right, having that vision, that clarity. And it's funny, I was originally wanting to open with a friend. We always talked about it in dental school, and the idea behind it was just to make it more affordable. We could work
Nice.
at associate 2 days. And the more I think about it, how much harder it would have been with someone else going through each decision. Everything that I've made ever since that one thing that was the going out of network was the big hiccup. Once I got past that, every decision I made was what I wanted and what I saw in the vision. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you had
And just having
alignment, right?
another person there would have complicated it and we would have made compromises. So I'm so happy with that. It all worked out that way.
Yeah. So now your next steps align with your true core values, like you've kind of had
Absolutely.
this process. So talk about this. So if you were to say where you were at is almost the antithesis of where you are. However, there's a lot of things that you're incorporating.
Oh
What
yeah. I
what are some
love
things that
my
you definitely want to take with you?
Yeah, I learned so much from my first office. They were a real, like I keep saying this because I don't want it to come across like they are this, money hungry. Like they are very, like they mean very well. They're very Christian practice in the best way, treat people well. And, they had the very good business models. Like you think 14 dentists, yikes, right? But they had it so well run. One thing I took from them that I'm using in my small office is just the convenience factor for patients being with one person through the whole visit. I hate you think of like you're on a call with someone with AT&T, they're going to put you on hold. You're going to talk to this person. You have to start over. You are with what they did at their office to keep things running smoothly is there's a greeter up front. An assistant or hygienist gets the patient, takes them to the chair, checks them out in the chair, takes them to the door. You're with that one person the whole time. And
It's almost like
I
a
loved
front
that. I
deskless
thought that was
office.
really cool. And when I would go numb in the next room, they could say, "Hey, do you want to go ahead and check out so you can leave right away?" Yeah, sure. Everyone loved that. I think dentists kind of get scared of that, but that is huge. I'm 100% taking that from them. That was a really big thing that I like.
That's the Omer Reed front deskless office, if you think about it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there's a name for
Well,
it.
just that's how I heard it. I mean, that's the first time I heard it. And
Sure.
he used the example of a hotel in Hawaii Like when he got there, they were like, "Welcome, Dr. Reed," and they greeted them, met them, carried them. It's like there was no desk, there was no check-in desk, and this was way before the credit cards and computers were even a part of the process, and they just had their systems down, and we almost did that in COVID a little bit. That was one of the changes that we made, was separating the business from the clinical and the business area. So we were handling a lot more business in our clinical area. Now we're trying to shift it back a little bit differently, but I mean, that's a clear vision. That's great. So what other things?
Yeah,
That's really nice.
that. Yeah, I loved that. And just, I'll never be as busy as I was there, so it's kind of nice to know. It makes me feel confident that I can handle literally anything. A busy day is nothing compared to some days where I had like three rooms and, so like at the same time. So it's just, I think it prepped me really well for that in that aspect. So, yeah, and I have we ended on great terms, nothing but respect for those dentists, and just learned so much from them. So yeah, I'm really thankful for that time.
How about their training systems or their hiring process? Did you get to learn some of the other business parts of that?
Not really, no. Otherwise, I was pretty shielded from the business side of it. Like I said, I knew nothing about insurance. Like that was private. It's funny, I underestimated insurance. I put my mom at front desk. We had this time, so we did front office rocks. We're both learning insurance, and I'm glad that I did it because I learned so much about insurance. I could handle it, but it was hard, especially the way we're trying to do it, where you're guessing out of network what they're going to owe. So I hired in February a financial coordinator, and it's been so much better. That's her job, is to the patients. So part of that process of getting them through smoothly is they know what they're going to pay before they walk in.
Okay.
So they're expecting it. So that's where it's easy for the assistant, because they're just like, oh, okay, time to pay. The patient knows. Like, it's not news, right, at that point. So they know that. So that's her job the whole way. And then also kind of what I was telling you about, how I really want to come up with ways to make it affordable for people, but not being in network. In certain cases, she'll sit with them and just kind of be like, all right, how can we help you pay for this? You know what I mean? So it's that's her. That's why I wanted that, instead of trying to combine those with the front desk, I kept my mom on front desk. I wanted that to be her sole focus because it was so important to what I'm trying to accomplish.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I think the average American, they said, has 4 credit cards in their name or something like that, some ridiculously high number. So to me, I would probably be using that. Put a credit card on file, we'll charge it. If you're going to owe $50, we'll charge it, $15 or $12 a week till this is paid, and you don't have to worry about it. Whatever, something like that. Or you could possibly get into payment plan. Yeah, you can get into like some of the outside ones where it's you take a little bit of a hit, but if they're going to do it in 30 days and it's like a revolving 30-day credit. Right. So essentially it's another credit card.
We do care credit for sure. And I've looked into some other ones, but I almost feel like
check a couple other ones. Yeah, there's a couple other ones out there. There's quite a few actually. And care credit, I don't think is the best. It's the most name recognition, right? But I don't know if it's the best. So, okay. Let's go to when you did the startup, what was your financial budget? And then how did that whole process go?
Yeah. I went over budget for sure.
Everybody does.
Big time over budget.
20%?
Yeah.
Okay.
More than that.
Okay. I was going to say it's not unusual for that. Yeah.
Now, it was kind of just
hard costs or soft costs? Was it like labor costs or was it material costs? Equipment
it was more, I mean, it's just adding to the debt. It was more I ended up getting I'm making a brand new office. I didn't want to go cheap on the equipment, because it wouldn't fit. It wouldn't look right. So I got, new chairs, new everything. And I ended up getting a CBCT, which I love, I'm obsessed with, and an iTero scanner because I do a lot of Invisalign. So I finance those. So I'm really trying. It's kind of like dental school, right? You just pay the bill and you focus on the monthly payment that you have to make and what is it going to take to hit that monthly payment. And that's kind of what I'm focusing on. And it's funny because I know, like I said, I listened to a lot of your podcasts, so I know you like numbers. So I did write down the numbers in case you asked me, but I
Well,
am
if you
not
want to
naturally,
share 'em, let's roll with it.
I'm not naturally a specific numbers person. I'm more of a rounding in my
Yeah,
head
me
kind of
too.
numbers person.
I always round up. So listen, it's
Yeah,
3,000, but it's 2,700. Okay.
right. So, what I found was, and I'm not there yet. Actually almost broke even last month, which is kind of cool. Um, but my rent hasn't started yet, and some of my financing is still on hold because it's not been 6 months. But my goal is to make 30,000 a month. That would get me to break even. 30,000 would break me even once I start paying my rent. So that's not yet, and I'm not there yet. And that's to produce that. So that's including my expenses. So
No, that's to collect that. That's to collect that.
well, theoretically, we're out of network, so we're collecting all that we're
Oh, I know. I'm just
producing.
saying, but don't use production. Use your collection numbers because you got to collect
Sure.
it.
Okay.
Got to be real money.
Yeah, definitely. Um, and so especially since we're not paying the full amount up front. Is that what you guys do? Do you pay the full amount up front or just the estimated out of pocket up front?
Good question. I think we have both options. I think we
You
have a
do.
number. I think if you pay over $300 and you pay it up, you get a 5% courtesy if you're paying by cash or check. If you're using credit card, I think it's 2% or something like that. If you
Okay,
make
that's a
that
good
number.
idea. Something to encourage paying ahead of time. Yeah, because I keep thinking how much easier that would be because the main thing is I don't like chasing money, right?
Yeah,
And
you
so we're
should.
trying to greatly underestimate what insurance will pay for people
Right.
so we can offer more refunds.
Smart.
Um, but I keep thinking how much easier it would be paying up front, but does get hard for people, to really pay a lot.
You could ask them
Anyways, I
to put
lost
it
my
on
train
their
of
put it on their
thought.
credit card, right? You can ask them to put it on their credit card, and then when the check comes, you'll sign it over to them or whatever the case. I mean, that's one way to do it, right?
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Or
Uh,
you get the
totally
credit
different.
card on file, and then you can say, listen, we're gonna bill your insurance company. Insurance company check's gonna come to us, and after we get it, there's a balance. We're gonna charge your card the balance, and they agree to it. Now you have now you're gonna cut down on some of your labor chasing that money.
Yeah.
I think that's a little
Yeah.
more seamless and still a little more forgiving. But if there's an incentive to pay that up front, you can do that too. So
Yeah. And that was kind of the models that I had was that you pay the insurance and then you bill later, right? And
Mhm.
that's what I don't really want to do for two
well, your
reasons.
membership
One,
plan has to be that way, right? You're that way with your membership plan, right?
yeah, membership plan, they're just paying, a fee and yeah, they'll pay up front, but I know what they're going to pay. So the tricky part with the insurance, right, is you can think they're going to pay something and then, they're not, right? It's max allowable fees or something like that. And gosh, we've seen some garbage max allowable
Sure.
fees, right? Like garbage.
You know what's
It's so
interesting?
frustrating.
What do you give for your I'm on your membership plan. I'm gonna get a crown done.
Mhm.
It's let's say $1,500. I'm gonna put it on my credit card. What's my
Yeah.
what's my courtesy discount for that?
We do 20% off, blanket 20%
Oh,
off every day.
oh, you're generous.
Very
Okay.
generous. It
So
is.
20,
And I want
20%
it to
even with
be.
my credit card?
Hmm.
So you're taking about a 23, 24% hit.
But that's cheaper than being in network with insurance, in my mind.
Yeah, but you're giving away some pretty good profits. Well, that's okay. I think that's a lot, but that's
This
okay.
is yeah, and it is a lot. And I wanted it to be overly generous because this is my way of, like, I kept saying I want to make it affordable without insurance. So it's kind of my way of doing that, right? So,
Well, so
in my eyes, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, my point is, if you're doing that with your membership plan, do that with your insurance plan. Say, here's how we can do it. Here's one choice.
Mhm.
And choice B is you pay it all up front. You're going to get a 20% courtesy for doing that. And then the insurance check's going to go to you. Now, I think you do have to let the insurance company know
Good idea.
the patient
You
is
do,
going to
yeah.
receive. I think you have to put, to me, on the form, the insurance form, I put down the patient will receive a 20% courtesy.
Yes.
That's it.
We do that for there's several businesses that, like my husband's company and um, my father-in-law's company, they like their employees are going to get 10% off, and we do the same thing just on the insurance check. Just patient will receive a 10% discount. And so I've been I've given those out, pretty easily. I don't mind, especially right now as we're growing and there's not someone else wanting that spot. If you view it that way, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I'm
you got to
okay
be
with
careful
giving.
though, because you're going to
Yeah,
become a victim of your success soon enough. I guarantee it. And then you're going to be like, well, I'm kind of giving away a little bit much. I would just have some consistency, would be my
sure.
suggestion, so that you don't
Yeah,
have to go back in and tweak it later, But I
yeah.
understand. I understand where you're coming from. It makes perfect sense, But I wouldn't have multiple different things. I would just, kind of have
Keep it simple.
one standard thing. But if you're getting paid up front, so if you're getting that money
Hmm.
now, the little time value of money you're getting paid today versus maybe 2 months later, okay, worth a little bit.
Hmm. Yeah.
Patients
And,
getting a
I
courtesy.
don't cap it or anything. It's 20% off. So it is a very good option. And it's interesting, I've got a couple of patients that are social media managers. There's the generation below mine is um, they're not doing traditional jobs. They're being really, really creative with what they do. And insurance just isn't really working anymore, right? Because it's just not working for them. They're not getting unless you have like a good company insurance, it's just not working. So um, it's been really nice getting those patients. And I just feel like it's a really good option for people. What I hate though is, I'll have people who are struggling for that and then need to go to perio and you know what I mean, or something like that. And then they're kind of like, I should have got, then they're kind of stuck. And so it's funny, you can tell I like to think outside the box a little bit, and I don't have a good answer for it, but I feel like there's got to be a way, some sort of insurance alternative coming, you know what I mean, coming down the pipeline. And I'm interested, and
It's
I just
hard.
like thinking about it. And I know you've talked to so many people, so maybe someone's already thought of it.
Well, it's hard because
But I feel
now
like
you're
there's got to be.
I mean, if you're coming up against the insurances and you're going to operate, see the one thing, operate like an insurance, it's a whole nother ball game. So you got ERISA laws and all kinds of that. Like I know when
Yeah,
we put our
right.
membership plan together, I took a membership plan that Lou Graham was doing in Chicago. I mimicked it, I copied, I talked to some people, and then I ran it by the New York State Dental Association, and they recommended a lawyer, and that's who I used for the New York State version. And the only thing he recommended when all was said and done was he said you should have a limit, a yearly limit. Your exposure is high. And I said, you don't get it. I don't care what my exposure is on the upper end. I don't care if they spend $30,000,
Right.
that's not an issue. So
Right, exactly.
and that was just almost like a personal thing that he recommended. And we said, okay, thanks. We don't need to do that, but we want to make sure we're in compliance with the laws. The one big thing that I interpreted was you can't
Mhm.
mimic or be an insurance company. It's a membership plan. So,
Right.
if you do, then you get in trouble. So for us, you have to be non-insurance. Like you can't have dental insurance and be on the membership plan. So that was one thing that we've
And yes, ours too. Absolutely. What I'm talking about is more just like me thinking in dentistry in general. Like just kind of my wheels have been turning like lately. Like I feel like it's traditional insurance isn't working. I wonder if something else is going to come up. This is not
right.
anything I'm doing. We're 100% like you said, you can't do the membership plan and insurance by any means. Um, it's just I don't know, I just find it interesting. I've been thinking a lot about it lately.
Well, one thing you could do, I mean, just think, sitting here and looking about it. You have an oral surgeon, a periodontist that you're using regularly. You can call them and say, listen, I have patients that are on a membership plan. This is their financial agreement with me. Is there any way you can extend that same courtesy for those patients?
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
you can say to the patient, so not only do you get a membership benefit here, you also get it at these two specialists. So it's a
Yeah, and
win-win
I
for
like
them.
that. Yeah, I like that, and I've thought about that maybe for, like we're having a pediatric dentist across the way, but definitely I'd like that people be able to choose too. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where
Yeah, I
it gets a
know.
little hairy.
But if
Yeah,
you have someone you work with that you're
spitballing.
comfortable
Yeah,
with,
I like it. I'm just
pediatrics is
thinking. Yeah,
different.
just thinking.
Pediatrics is different because that patient becomes there. That's not really a referral that comes back, you know? That
I
would be
guess, yeah.
my take on it.
Yeah. Sure. That's fair.
So the skill part though, you've added a bunch of skills. The endo that you
Yes.
mentioned earlier, is that something you've gotten into that now too, or no?
Yeah. I mean, we just started, but I've done one. Yeah. I did Chopra, who was on your podcast. I did
Yeah.
her East and really enjoyed it. Yeah. It was really helpful. I admire her a lot.
So you have the ability to pick up those skills, spend
Yeah,
the
and I have
time
a
with the
CBCP,
patients,
so I
yeah,
can pick
and
my
do,
cases.
yeah.
I won't get into anything weird because I can see exactly what's happening. So that's been giving me confidence, like, oh, I can do this one. It's straight.
Yeah,
So
CBCT is a game changer. I mean,
it's unreal. And I got the Plan Mecca one that's less radiation than a 2D. It's insane. Like this is the future. Everyone's gonna have that eventually. The only reason not to is radiation. It's pretty cool.
neat stuff. Okay, what are some of the things that you learned? Let's go back. You were going to share those numbers. We didn't get those numbers. You want to share those numbers on your bill?
Sure. Yeah. I was telling you, 30,000 is really what you want me to just do, like the big number,
It's up to
the
you. I mean, but
the debt number,
30,000 covers your debt service, or also has a little something in that you've
debt
earned.
service, everything. But 30,000 is to break even
Okay.
after rent. So it sounds totally doable, but it is kind of hard without a hygienist. I'm my own hygienist. So if I'm doing cleanings all day, that's not really producing very much, and I'm not getting at the same time doing dentistry. So, and I'm not there yet. I'm just not busy enough. But I think this summer we'll have patients who are on their 6-month recall. We'll pick things up more. So I'd like to have a hygienist at least in part time by the end of the year, is what I'm hoping. And then I think it'll be easier to meet those goals with that. So
How much?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you have a target, like how much you want to be scheduled? Like if you're 50% scheduled, you're going to put a hygienist in?
Um, I kind of look at it as in if we're booked out consistently a couple weeks for treatment or hygiene, that would be a good indicator to me that we need to shift.
Don't
And
wait
I
that
was
long.
only,
Don't wait that
don't
long.
wait that long. Yeah.
Let me ask you, what would you pay a
What do you say?
hygienist in your area?
So they're asking, on arm and a leg, and I've heard 50 an hour, which is insane, but
All right, so
it's up.
$50 an hour,
Mm-hmm.
8 hour day, 400. Let's add in a bunch of other stuff you got to end up paying. Let's say it's cost you $500 for the day, right? So
Okay.
what's your cleaning exam fee?
For new patient, it's 367. So that's with x-rays and everything.
How about existing
Um,
patient?
so be 110 for the cleaning and 64 for periodic.
So 175. Okay. And that's not counting x-rays, all right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So in this essence, right? If you had one new patient and one existing patient, you paid your salary for the hygienist.
If I had one new patient and one existing patient at the same time, like just a
No,
day.
for an 8 hour day. 8 hour day. So
Uh-huh.
you look at your break-even points,
500. I see what you're saying. Okay.
right?
It's a good way of looking. Yeah.
I think that's helpful because in your mind you can kind of say to yourself, okay, this is my
Very
cost.
helpful. Mm-hmm.
And now it frees you up, and maybe you have an emergency. Maybe you get one patient in on your side, So
Right.
in essence, by her being there, it provides a service, right? And then you can now focus on yours. And what you're gonna do, because you're paying that person, you're gonna make sure that your part is going and you're gonna get her part going, right?
Yeah. And that's where I guess I didn't want to, since right now I don't have even a full column for myself. I wouldn't want someone to um, be working and I'm sitting, I guess. It doesn't make any sense to me financially. So that's kind of where I want to make sure that we can both be working to support someone. But yeah, I like thinking of it that way. That's really helpful. Thanks for that perspective because that
Yeah.
that is a good way of looking at it.
Like,
And takes a little bit of that pressure off. Yeah.
yeah, add a day a week, right? So if you said, listen, come June, we're gonna have a hygienist, she's gonna work every Tuesday. Come July,
That's
we're looking to add her, 2 days a week. And you just and now it's clear and now it's set. So your financial person, if you have a front desk admin, business admin, get that book full. She's all set. And then what it will generate for you too. Now you're going to be seeing more orthodontic cases, more Invisalign things, and working on your case presentations, and maybe spend more time actually with the patient and less time on the administering of that part, the hygiene part, and you'll
Yeah.
see your production go.
Yeah, I like that. That's good advice to not wait too long, because I think that's kind of against the natural thought.
Yeah.
I guess I don't want to say the party line, but you know what I'm saying. Like I said, I like to think differently. I think that's a good way of thinking about it.
Yeah, I think you'll get there. I mean, you're not far off. You said you broke even. How many months you been open?
4, and I did not break even, but I almost broke even, and that does
Almost
not
broke
the
even.
30,000 because I'm not paying rent or anything.
Right. So, and what are you seeing? Like, what are your new patients gone from where you month 1 to 2 to 3 to 4?
Yeah, probably 20 something new patients a month.
Has it been steady? Has it gone up a little bit?
So it's interesting. I told you it took, gosh, a year and a half to open. So there were so many people waiting for me to open
Right.
that we were so busy to start.
Yeah.
um, so it's gone down, but
That's
that's
like COVID.
okay.
Yeah.
It was that was expected. And I think, right now I'm doing I told you I'm doing a lot of grassroots
Right.
marketing, which I really enjoyed. I was like, even if this doesn't give me patients, I'm really enjoying connecting with people in the community. I'm doing this women's group called Beauty Boost, and it's I'm going to like a women and wellness event, like a fitness sampler, and so I'm kind of meeting people that way and connecting with them over and other business owners don't necessarily have insurance, so this has been um a need that I can give to these people. It's been good. So I think I've got a lot of potential in the potential patients in the works. It just takes time.
Well, business owners, right? You can tell them, listen, if you want to offer this plan, we call ours a smile plan. You want to offer a smile plan for your employees, and you can split the cost with them. This is
Yeah,
what it would be. So you can do that. We haven't found much success with that. I will tell you that. We've tried to kind of go out there, but it's something, if you're connecting. The other part I would say is if you've identified where those patients are coming from, then you want to try to make sure it's kind of like, this is what we're good at. We'll make sure you do a lot of what you're good at, So if a lot of people are coming from company A or B, make sure you're very present in company A or B's, I don't know, feed, I guess you'd say, whatever it is.
yeah, definitely. Big social media. That was a learning curve in itself because that
Sure
didn't come
is.
naturally. I learned how to social media on TikTok. I don't post on TikTok, but I learned on TikTok.
Uh-huh.
And just like these little videos, and I've gotten a lot better at it, I think. But it's been interesting and connecting with other businesses through Instagram, tagging them. Um, it's been fun. I liked it more than I thought I would. So that's been nice. So I think we're just kind of in the building phase. It's funny, I
Sure.
keep telling my staff, um, we need to get this figured out before we get busy. Like I keep saying that, and not that, and I don't mean to say that I want to be crazy busy. That's not necessary. That's not the goal. But I believe that we'll be successful, and I want to try to work out the kinks during. You trying to take advantage of this time, the building phase.
Right. And you want to help as many people as you can. So you want to work
Sure. Yes.
efficiently. And, it's more satisfying. The more people you can help, the more satisfying it can be.
And I don't think I even told you, but I plumbed for 8, so 8 ops, and I've only equipped 3. But I aspire to have another dentist there, and up to 4 hygienists. So at our peak, we will be busy eventually.
Of course.
So yeah, so I'm trying to kind of get the systems in place now.
Right. And you've got to me, start with the end in mind, the old Stephen Covey tactic. But yeah, it's where you want to go. And that's,
Yeah.
The next step with, the hire. Now, how many people currently you employ? An assistant and a business admin, the 2?
So 2, and then my mom, who gives me the mom discount. She's my front desk, and she's just great with patients. Like no one cares like mama. It's unreal. Like
My
Sunny,
mom.
people will come into work on the building and she'll chat them up and they'll make an appointment. It's the best.
Yeah.
She's crushing it. She's a retired teacher, no dental background.
No, she got people
She's
background.
Yeah. So I've loved having her there.
So you have three, but
So
you're paying two, is what you're telling me, right?
2.5.
I know. My mom worked for me, and then we finally started paying her. But yeah, I know the feeling, and yeah, it's just a great. You're in a great spot. Enjoy it, right? Enjoy the
Yeah, it's
time
fun.
because it's going to get busier. The one thing that a friend of mine would say to his team when he started, he was like, "Okay, so we scheduled an hour for something, right? And you do it in 30 minutes." He would say, "Okay, mark that down because that's where we're going to be at in 6 months. We're going to be using that 30 minutes and we'll have someone else for this other time." And it just kind of gave them a little projection of where they were headed, a little vision, share that vision with them. All
Oh, and
right.
I forgot to mention, I have a dental assisting student as well. So that's free. And she's getting a lot of good one-on-one experience because she's getting to do a lot of the stuff with us. So that's kind of a win-win-win. And I'll probably do that again. And then, ideally hire straight out of assisting school if it's a good fit.
Yeah,
So
good for you.
that's kind of my next plan, next move.
Good for you. All right,
Yeah.
we're just going to wrap up shortly. Any other pieces of advice you'd like to share? Any experiences or advice you want to share with people listening?
I think it's just, what I hope people get from this is you gotta you gotta do your career, you gotta do your family at the same time, and it's really scary and stressful, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I've never once regretted the decision. I love what I'm doing, and I love being a mom, and just it's a full life. It's a full life, busy, full life, but I wouldn't do it any other way. And I just hope people, um, if they have questions, they're welcome to reach out to me. But I hope that that encourages people because I always thought I could do anything until I became a mom, and then I thought, okay, maybe I can't. And I think I'm really happy with how things have been going.
Good for you. I do
Yeah.
think when people talk, I talk to a lot of people who are in network and are dropping network plans, and they almost
Yeah.
always to a T, their very first thing is having the mindset. No going back, burn the boats, use whatever term you want, but they're committed to it. And then I think everything
Mhm.
else follows that. Like if you're not committed
Absolutely.
to it, you're going to go back. You're going to go back and forth. You're going to waver. You're going to have
Yes.
those bad
100%.
days like we all do. And you're going to go, I really probably should do this. I didn't do anything today. And, I probably should do this. I could get these patients here for this. And, but in the end, it's really not what they want. So, and I think it causes you to think outside the box, to work harder, to come creative, to get solutions that fit your model, right? Align with your vision. That's what my associate tells me. That aligns with your vision. So I'm like, thank you.
Yes. Perfect.
Thank you, Nor.
And another one, the mommy dentist in business, Grace Young, Dr. Young, she said once, "Don't quit, just rest." I love that. That stuck with me so hard.
Great
Especially, I
one.
told you, I was looking outside the dental field. Don't quit, stick with it. It's the best job in the world, but it's going to suck a lot at a lot of times, and
Yeah, you're
it's
going
just
to
kind of finding
create.
your way.
Yeah, you're going to create this model that's yours, that's uniquely yours.
Mhm.
And to me, that's so exciting.
I love that. Yeah,
It's
it's
like,
great.
this is just going to be me. And I'm going to steal ideas and borrow ideas. Of course you are, because you don't have to reinvent the wheel and you don't have to make all your own mistakes, right? So you learn
Sure.
from
Yeah,
it, but you incorporate it. And that's the journey is the fun part, man. It's like, that's my feeling.
I
All
love it.
right.
Thank you so much
Last
for everything
question.
you
Got to ask you last question. You know what it is. If you could go anywhere, anytime, any place, backwards, where would you go and why?
do. It's funny. I do listen to your podcast. I know you asked that question. I did not prep for that question.
Good. So it's first thought. It's first thing comes in your head.
Who would I meet? Um, Oh gosh, I knew you were going to ask that question. I still didn't prep for it. Let me not overthink this and say that, you know, someone really creative. It's funny. I think I just listened to your last one and Taylor Swift was mentioned. And I know this is going to sound really silly, but I would love to just like get inside her head for a minute. This girl she is probably the most famous person on the planet right now. And you know what? She writes her own songs, and that's honestly rare in today's day and age. She's an artist
Yep.
and creative and under enormous scrutiny. I would love to talk to her.
All right.
So we're gonna go with Taylor Swift. Don't judge me.
Go back a week. You want to talk Taylor Swift? That's all good.
That's right. Yeah.
I will say one thing in talking to you and seeing you, you have an energy and you have like an aura or a glimmer in your eye. Like you have this really positive, you really do. You really emit this really happiness. And I'm so excited for you. I really am.
That means a lot. Thank you.
I'm flattered that I even had anything to do with it. I really didn't because I think it's all you. And it's just in talking to you, it's like, wow, she's really you got that it factor. I mean, it just kind of like, yeah,
Thank you. That
comes
means so
out
much
of you.
coming from you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. This has been a pleasure. I appreciate you very much. So if they want to get in touch with you, do you want to share that? And then we'll put it in the show notes. How can people reach Dr. Rebecca Bradley in South Charlotte?
Sure. Yes. It's you can email me at smile@qcsouthdentistry.com. That's QC like Queen City, which is Charlotte.
QC
You can
Dentistry.
find me on Instagram, like my stuff, because I'm still learning to be a dental
What's your
influencer.
Instagram? What do you go by there?
QC South Dentistry at
QC
South
South Dentistry. Okay. And
I'll send you that stuff for the bio.
all right. So please your website, all that stuff. I'd be glad to share it.
Sure thing. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Million. My pleasure. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Fee for Service Dentist Podcast. If you would like to share your fee for service story, please fill out our contact form at ffsdentistry.com. Also, be sure to join our Fee for Service Dentistry Facebook group. For help starting your dental membership plan, visit dentalmembershipdirect.com and membershipmastercourse.com. Finally, for help with in-house financing, visit dentalfinancingdirect.com. And don't forget, your story is what you make of it. This is your name on the door and your reputation on the line. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.